Hi, my name is Rachel Graves, and I will be discussing cases of withdrawing/withholding treatment, specifically the case of Nancy Cruzan. Nancy Cruzan was involved in an automobile accident at the age of 25. While driving home from a local cheese factory, Nancy lost control of her vehicle and was thrown 35 feet from the car into a barren field. She landed face first and experienced approximately 15 minutes of anoxia. When paramedics arrived to the scene, they were able to perform CPR and restore her heartbeat. However, at this point, her cerebral cortex, which we know is the seat of awareness and thought, was irreversibly damaged, and she would never regain higher brain function. This accident left her in a persistently comatose and vegetative state, and she was no longer able to experience anything of the world around her, and she only expressed a reflexive grimace-like response to sound or pain. She was in a state of progressive spastic quadriplegia with irreversibly contracted extremities. According to the medical professionals treating Nancy, she was projected to live another 30 years in this state. Prior to her accident, her family describes Nancy as a vivacious, active, outgoing, and independent person. She had expressed to several people, including family and friends, that she did not wish to continue living if she couldn't be halfway normal and do things for herself. She had other conversations with family members suggesting that she would not want to continue her present existence without hope as it is. Knowing their daughter would not want to live in a vegetative state, her parents, acting as her guardians, requested discontinuation of the feeding tube that had been placed to give Nancy nutrition. Officials of the state hospital declined without a court order. Her parents initiated a lawsuit seeking court support and discontinuation of the feeding tube. The court initially ruled in favor of the family, stating that Nancy would not wish to continue with nutrition and hydration. They concluded that no state interest outweighed her right to liberty, and the denial of her wishes constituted an equal protection of the law. However, this would not be the end of the Cruzan's battle. The Missouri State Court reversed the trial court decision, stating that the trial court had erroneously broken the law. The Missouri Supreme Court concluded that the feeding tube was not heroically invasive, it was not a painful invasion, and it was not oppressively burdensome. It also ruled that the state's interest in the preservation of life stated to be particularly valid where a ward was not terminally ill, unqualified, and outweighed her constitutional right of privacy or her common law right to refuse treatment. While the court at this time had recognized a competent person's right to refuse treatment as part of the doctrine of informed consent, decisions being made on behalf of the incompetent patient would require clear and convincing evidence that the patient would have wanted treatment terminated under such circumstances. Saddled with the burden of proof, it took the Cruzan family until 1990 for sufficient evidence to be brought forward and prove that Nancy would not have wanted to be kept alive. Shortly after the Missouri Probate Court ruled in the family's favor, the feeding tube was removed, and Nancy passed away peacefully 2 weeks later. I believe the Supreme Court rulings to be unethical in light of the information they had regarding Nancy's wishes. I believe it violated ethical principles used to guide medicine. However, I feel that Nancy's autonomy was infringed upon the most. In terms of autonomy, the ruling did not respect the decision Nancy voiced, as she had expressed her thoughts about living in a vegetative state to various people throughout different circumstances in her life. Although she was not capable of verbalizing these wishes after the accident, there were multiple people who knew her well and could articulate these thoughts for her. The Supreme Court stated in the case that they valued life. However, I do not believe in this case they considered value in the quality of life that Nancy would have following her accident. I think the court also infringed on her parents' right as her guardians to make a decision for their daughter. Not only did the state take the medical decision out of her parents' hand, they also saddled them with paying for her medical care. As the ethical principle of justice compels us to distribute benefits, risks, costs, and resources to the best of our knowledge, it would seem the court overlooked this concept as it caused a significant financial burden for the parents during this almost 8 years it took for the court to rule in the family's favor. I also do not believe the court took into consideration the emotional bearing the situation would have on Nancy's parents. They were met with great opposition from several pro-life groups and received heavy criticism throughout the long 8 years. Emotional impact was so great on Nancy's father that he ended up committing suicide 6 years after Nancy passed away. I believe the actions of the court and hospital to be unethical regarding the care of Nancy Cruzan, and believe the ruling in this case directly interfered with Nancy's right to autonomy and her family's right for justice. Thank you for listening to my presentation of the case.